Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Change Collective podcast, where we love bringing inspirational stories of social leaders who have made a big difference in communities across the world. Today, we have with us Mr. Hemant Jadhav. He's the regional business unit head at Bosch and a chief trustee at Primavera. This is the global arm of Bosch that works tirelessly for the service of vulnerable children and youth across the world. His professional and personal journey is hugely inspirational to me, and we are absolutely honored to have him on our podcast today, to have an opportunity to listen to his story. So, Hemant sir, you've had almost 3 decades of professional experience and about 20 years plus with Bosch. You've worn multiple hats through your career and you've accomplished a lot in your journey, right? Your current role as chief trustee at Primavera. But before we get into all of that, always good to start with your backstory, right? With your story of how did you first dive into the world of business, the world of social impact? Would love to hear your story.
So I'm basically Maharashtrian, coming from middle class background, I would say, and engineer by education, and then thereafter I did my masters and doctorate in management. But while doing all this stuff, my main focus was mainly on business. So I'm working with Bosch since last 22 years now. This 23rd year I'm working. And what I loved in this journey was always business aspect of this organization, which allows you to be entrepreneurial and gives you freedom to innovate, gives you freedom to operate in different customer segments and business segments. And I think my journey for CSR actually started again with Bosch. And maybe briefly, I can introduce you about this great organization. Bosch is a German multinational company which has got almost 80 billion plus euro turnover annually, which is world's biggest tier one company in this automotive segment, for example. But that is not its greatness. Greatness comes from Mr. Robert Bosch, who was the founder of this company, and he formed a trust called as the Robert Bosch Trust, which owns the 92% shareholding of this company. So while we run this company as a organization, we look for every penny that can be saved. We look for every aspect that can be improved. We work on the theme of invented for life. We are very much interested in the technology, but the money that we earn out of this business, 92% goes back to the society from this trust. So for me, is a like a best combination of social cause and capitalist thought process, which made me also think that why not I should also enter in the space of social responsibility. So for me, it is not like corporate social responsibility. For me, it's more of what do I give back to the society as an individual. And so this journey started as a volunteer for Nasik Run. Nasik Run was our initiative when we were working in Nasik, and then we thought that we'll start event where people will come together, where we'll raise the funds, and then we'll work with NGOs. After working there as a volunteer for 3-4 years, handling media partly, then I was moved to Bangalore, and then I got chance to work on community projects in Bangalore. And then journey continued, and one fine day there was a request that would you like to be trustee for Primavera? And as you know, Primavera is again global organization. It's an organization linked to all Bosch employees. So we as a Bosch employees contribute funds and then we try to sponsor the projects. So it's a journey, it's not some events. It kept on happening, and I joined this topic through my Bosch journey, I would say.
Nice. Absolutely love it. I think I love that Bosch lives in this intersection of business for social good, right? I think from Robert Bosch's vision of that to now as a CSR team also and Primavera, you're implementing that. And I think that's beautiful. Can I ask, when you think of Primavera specifically, what is Primavera's mission focus in India and what some of the work you all have been doing over the last 20 years?
Yeah. So Primavera, though it is kind of NGO, but it's an opportunity for me to be Boschler, uh, living the values of Robert Bosch. So, as an employee of Bosch, I become normally member of Primavera, and then as a NGO or as a group, there are 2-3 areas where we work. So we are presenting Primavera Germany or Global Primavera in India, and by which we are working with 11 projects in India at the moment, where actual funding comes from Primavera Global, and it comes in euros. And since we are FCRA compliant, and we work also with FCRA compliant NGOs for this international funding, so we are working with Sindhutai Sabka's NGO, or we are working here in Pune with Surut Mandal. We are working with Ashraya. We are working with various NGOs also in Bangalore, Chennai. Yeah, so that is one part of our area of focus. Second part of our area of focus is we also do fundraising here in India. Our flagship event for that is called as a Spark of Joy. So every year in month of September, we come together from almost 10 locations of Bosch. We have our own employees coming together and participating in some dance performances or some message giving performances, I would say. And then there we collect around again the 10 million rupees through donation, and that we spend in Indian projects. Plus, for example, there are NGOs who are not FCRA certified. So there we try to bring these funds. And third area is we are also working on scholarship for young boys and girls going to the school or colleges. And it's not a very big amount, I would say. It is in the range of 8,000 to around 20,000 rupees. But it takes care of the education, at least fees for the boys and girls from underprivileged families, and we try to cover around 500 to 600 uh, students, and that we normally prefer to do it through Bosch. So our employees get a chance to nominate student, and then there we see, because it becomes a very lean process. We don't get into validation. If my employee says that he is needy, and then we compare it with other topics, other students, and we arrange the scholarships.
Nice. That's absolutely inspiring to hear. I think you mentioned three things, right? The Global Fund, which you're then able to distribute, local events, and also scholarships. Can you talk about the other side, right? What are some of the communities you're able to impact through your partners? What are some of the cause areas you're dedicated to serving?
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about that side also?
So first focus is very limited or restricted because resources are limited. So we are mainly focusing on the young kids, let's say ranging from 6 years to 18 years. And there we are working with physically handicapped or especially able kids, I would say, then neurodiverse, then orphanage and underprivileged. So we are working with the schools where there are hearing disabilities, and then we try to help them either through the technology for learning. Then we are also working with other physical disabilities. We are working with neurodiverse schools in Bangalore and in Pune. And of course, we are also working with some orphanage in Pune or in Bangalore, in Chennai, and some ashram schools around. Our focus area, of course, as I said, one part is young child. Another part is also where Bosch has got establishment. Normally around that, around 50 kilometers range, we try to work. Basic reason for us is our people should be able to contribute also as a volunteers. So it's not only about money. For me, money, there could be many players. Money as a products we can, for example, through CSR budget we can spend. But here we are contributing out of our salaries, and there's the reason for me volunteering is more important than the money part of it.
I love that. And I resonate also a lot with that. I think about a decade ago when we started, you and I, it started with us volunteering with special needs home. And the need is so huge in India, right? I think whether you think of children who have a special need, whether it's physical or whether it's mental or emotional, I think they're largely neglected by society. And I think schools and homes which work with these, I know my life was changed just by going and volunteering, working with students who have special needs. And today, I think Bosch and Primavera get to work together on these projects also, which is very exciting. Beautiful. I love that you'll have clear focus in the CSR space. You'll know what you're doing, and you're able to involve the employees both through volunteering and through the scholarships also. I think they're very smartly integrated, both of them. Can I ask a question about the intersection between corporate and social, right? Because Primavera is in this very unique space. You're part of a large corporate entity, but also in the social sector. So you almost have dual vision. You get to see the corporate world, you also get to see the social sector. So, with your experience in both corporate and social, what are some of the differences you've seen in both sides? What are some areas where the social side can learn from the corporate side and vice versa?
Yeah, so when I'm in business, I look for returns. Hmm. I look for return on investment. I look for efficiency. When I'm in CSR, I look for impact. Hmm. So there I don't look at that if I invest this or if I spend this, what is the return I'm getting. It is immaterial that what return I can see or I don't see, or rather, I don't want to work in the space where there is a return linked to Bosch. In the NGOs where we work, we make sure that there is no return coming to Bosch in any form or any manner. Hmm. So for me, when I'm working in CSR, it is all about impact, creating impact. Second topic is about effectiveness because, for example, my donors give me money with the trust that I will ensure that entire money goes to needy and beneficiary. So as a Primavera, we have zero admin cost, I would say. We don't charge any cost to Primavera. All our cost, let's say for Spark of Chai event or everything is taken care by Bosch, and the donation that we receive 100% goes to beneficiary. So that is philosophy that with which we have worked in Nasikran, with which we are also working here. That no admin cost; it's only impact that has to be created. So that is a main difference I see return versus impact. Second topic, I would say that there are different varieties of corporates as well as different varieties of CSR. So there could be corporates who are working for money and then money for stakeholders or shareholders. There could be corporates like Bosch who are working for NGO, their own NGO, and while they invest in big way in technology, in big way in innovation, we are also still returning what we earn back to the society. Similar way, I have also come across NGOs who are doing it for sake of society, for sake of giving back. But I have also come across NGOs where there were tricky situations. I think Ajit, you know more than me in this space. It is very difficult to identify, and we as a trustees have more bigger dilemma to build this trust before we work with any NGO. So. Uh, my corporate experience helps me to look at the things more rationally, but my corporate experience also makes it difficult to look at impact rather than return. But that is the balance we have learned. That is the balance Bosch has also taught us, that look for impact when you are on a social topic, look for returns when you are on business topic, and you have to keep on changing the hat every now and then.
Nice. Absolutely love that. And I think it's in that balance really that good work is done, right? Because if you're only looking at one without the other,
Of
then
course.
then you're. I love the word you use. You put it very diplomatically. You said tricky NGOs, right? I love that. Yeah, and I think when you think of Primavera and what you all are looking forward to next, right? When you think of you all have achieved a lot in the last 2 decades, but when you think of the next 4 5 years, we're in a very unique situation today with people wanting to volunteer more, people wanting to get involved more. What do you see as some of your big projects, some of the big goals and causes you all want to take on in the next 4 5 years?
Yeah, so as I said, we have very strong presence in India as a Bosch. We are 30,000 plus employees working here. So my first target at the moment is to see more volunteering and more participation from my colleagues. And it is not externally driven. It is we are not able to reach to our own colleagues. We have still not reached to our all Boschlers about the work that we are doing on the contribution that they can bring either in form of money or in form of volunteering. We are trying to work on this topic. Second topic as a Wash and Primavera is inclusivity. I want to work on the topic of inclusivity, for example, uh, colleagues with special ability, how can we bring them employable? How can Wash get into it? Because it is leading by example. If I cannot recruit a blind colleague or with physical disability colleague in Bosch, and if I cannot make the systems and processes to suit this special requirements, then I cannot go and preach it to other organizations that what they can do or they must do. So for me, inclusivity is second topic. Third topic, which is focus area for me, is about Northeast. We are trying to enter in Northeast. As I told you, that normally expectation is to work within 50 kilometers range from Bosch major entities, but then with help of our self-offices and some distributors, we are trying to spread in Northeast. First time we are already there in this year, and I would like to grow there. But my understanding on the topic and geography and challenges there are limited at the moment. So I'm just trying to expand my understanding through some NGOs there.
100%. And when you think of the Northeast, they probably has the least concentration of NGOs and CSR work in India today, I think. Yeah.
So I think every NGO has, every corporate NGO has got an idea that they would like to create an impact in their surroundings. For
Correct.
obvious reasons. Yeah. But for me, CSR is not about you getting back. It is reaching where you actually need that impact to happen.
Nice.
So if there is a need, then there is a need for impact, and then we have to reach there, not where we can reach. So,
nice. I really like that. And I think you and I also, we've just started working in Guwahati and Darjeeling, Kolkata also, and really finding that part of India really new and very excited to explore that side of India also. And we've seen some of the ground realities.
Yeah. So we with Akshay Patra, we have entered in Northeast as a pilot project. But the midday meal is one area of looking at it, but employability, skilling, there are many areas where actually Bosch can contribute, and there's also requirement in this region. But I would say there's a long way for us also to reach.
Definitely. Yeah. Would agree with that. Can I just circle back to something you mentioned earlier? You said more volunteering opportunities to reach more Boschlers, and to reach more Boschlers with more volunteering opportunities to get them involved. What are some of the volunteering opportunities you're seeing working in Bosch today? What are people gravitating towards? Are they preferring to do more environment-based ones like lake cleanups, or more education-based ones? Or where do you see more Boschlers gravitate towards?
So, of course, the water conservation, CO2 reduction are the areas where actually we as a Boschler are interested. But my corporate learning says that if leaders are involved and if leaders are literate about CSR requirement, then actually it helps more because penetration becomes very fast. So for that, what we did is we have a batch of around 60 future leadership colleagues, and for them we had insisted that they must invest 30 hours in this CSR space. They must be coach, they must be mentors, they can be volunteers, whatever they like, but they should invest 30 hours in this year 2023. And I'm very happy that, forget about the numbers, many of them cross the number, but it touched their life. And for me, now they are permanent volunteer of CSR. So if they start contributing, I have seen that youngsters will follow them. So for me, that is the first topic, that leadership touching to the CSR and then space, and then they becoming follower, they getting into this position, their team members also start focusing on this. Second area is of course event based, as you also mentioned. For example, we have cleaned up lakes in Bangalore. We are trying to improve the quality of water bodies in Bangalore. That is, for example, in Nasik region, it is not about cleaning up the lakes, but it is more of stopping the running water. So we have built some very small bandaras, and then more penetration of water inside and availability of water. Because another area from our learning has been that availability of employment in interior part, availability of water for farming in interior part will stop urbanization, and then these people who are moving from rural to urban, and then they're becoming from middle class to lower middle class or aspirers, and that journey is not the work. That is reverse journey. So if they could be in the area where they can get their water, they can do their farming, and then they can grow up their kids in that environment. We see that as an opportunity also with multiplier effect in CSR.
Nice. I think we've seen a lot of similar trends to what you're speaking about in the larger CSR space also. I think just in the last year or two, we've engaged over 10,000 volunteers from corporates, different corporate partners, and seen them actually come actively and take part. Like you mentioned, the future leaders, they actually doing 30 hours of volunteering. We just finished a batch with Amazon where they had their employees actually mentor some of the students of their delivery partners. So exciting projects like that, both short term, long term, and like you mentioned, event based also. I think because we have such large employee bases, event based works well. Short term, come for 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, do some good work. Would love to chat more. I think we have a lot of ideas in this space, and we definitely want to see more people volunteer, right? And that's one of our core sort of visions and missions. We're called You and I because we're just you and I. We want the average person to volunteer. And for that, every employee volunteering is exciting for us. Definitely love that. I think just moving away from the corporate side of things, I'd love to ask you a question on the personal side. We've been doing this for 3 years, like you said. And I know that personally also you have taken a journey, right? Like I think just from your growth, your personal growth, I think you've talked a lot about the professional side. But if you were to go back to young Hemant, who was starting his career at Bosch, who was starting his corporate/social career, and go back to, say, I'm guessing it was what, 1995 when you started,
Yeah.
around 95, 96. What advice would you give young Hemant? What would you tell if Hemant from 23 could go back and meet young Hemant? What advice would you give young Hemant? What would you tell him?
Very interesting question. But how I look at it, I'll share. See, I had an opportunity to visit almost 30 countries, meet uh, people from different cultures and different backgrounds, and let it be corporate or spiritual leaders. When I look at all these people, the learning that I acquired, one thing I learned is I should have started much earlier. Mm. My CSR journey, for example, I started somewhere in 2002, 2003. Uh, Today, when I look back, I feel that could have been much earlier, because it is not about giving back. Actually, it is gaining. Uh, what I gained in the journey was something unique. Uh, it helped me to fly high, but it also helped me to be grounded. And this otherwise would not have been possible. Point number one. Point number two, what I learned is there is going to be difference among us. Diversity is law of nature, and this is what I saw. The good thing or bad thing in India may not be equally good or bad, for example, in Germany or in Japan. Mm. And if we will appreciate these differences at very early age, if we would have been taught or if we would learn our ability to respect the differences, then our journey for CSR also could start much earlier. I think I was living in silos, I was comfortable with people like me. But when I went out of my comfort level and when I heard one song sung by some neurodiverse colleague, and when I enjoyed that quality of voice, and when I felt that in Marathi we say called is a Swargiya, that means it is coming from heaven, for example. And then I realized that I would never have tried something like this. Hmm. In my day to day, I would have kept listening to all the artists who are normal, who are good to do, who are the brands. But when I could reach in such a uh, environment where neurodiverse, that boy was singing, and then his voice uh, touched my heart, I realized that yes, I started late, and today at least I'm happy that at least I started, and I'm very unhappy or I feel uncomfortable that many of my colleagues could not start that, especially for my kids, for my uh, nephew and kids from our society. What I'm now trying to make them aware that this is a space which is kind of connecting you to heaven, and do it faster. I started a bit late, but you can do it faster.
Wow. I love that. Stay grounded, yet fly high. Diversity. Really appreciate the differences that we have and also encourage young people to start earlier, right?
Yeah.
Hemant sir, let me tell you, I'm glad you started and glad you've taken this journey. I think a lot of people have told me it's not how you start, but how you end. And I think the journey you've taken is absolutely inspirational to stay planted and to commit to something for 2 decades is no easy task, right? And I think you've done that. And I love that you still have a vision for the future, for Primavera, for yourself also, and to really be able to create change. I want to say thank you to you. Thank you for sharing your story. It was brilliant having you on the podcast, listening to your story. And I know that from the NGO side of the universe, we want to say thank you to Bosch and to Primavera. You all have been such a blessing to us. And I can tell you that, I mean, we've been able to impact thousands of lives just because of the partnership that we've had with you all. So I want to say thank you and look forward to chatting more.
Yeah. So Ajit, let me also say that first of all, thank you, thank Pratyush, thank Neha for giving this chance. But more important also to you and I, because without you and I and without sincere NGOs like yours, we as a Primavera cannot contribute. We also need arms, eyes, and brains to reach out to real needy people. And today's biggest challenge is to reach to right beneficiary, and that is where we get a chance to work with you and to reach to right people. Of course, this journey continues uh, as an individual and as Primavera and as an organization. But more important is my best wishes to you and your organization, and I'm pretty sure that you will also continue this journey.
Thank you so much, Hemant sir. And thank you everyone for tuning into this episode. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.